Hi, I'm Hannah, your one-of-a-kind, charming, legal sidekick. Imagine the very place meant to protect you turning into a silent battlefield. It's a chilling thought, but it's real for far too many children. A place that should be a sanctuary of pure safety, filled with the echoes of childhood laughter and innocence. But for a 10-year-old girl whom we will call Maya, not her true name, it became a house of silent, paralyzing horrors. Behind closed doors, the very person trusted to protect her became the author of her deepest trauma. This is not just a story of a crime. It is a story of systemic silence and the brave, agonizing pursuit of truth in a world that often prefers to look away. Today, we're not shying away. We're confronting the hardest truths about sexual offences and the law. With me, to discuss this, is Attorney JFM, your dedicated legal voice for making the law simple and justice accessible.
Thank you, Hannah. That's exactly why we're here, to have the kind of conversation most would rather avoid. I'm Attorney JFM, and with me is Hannah, who brings both warmth and fierce advocacy to these complex topics. Today's case file is heavy, but it is incredibly vital for every Filipino to understand.
Thanks for that, Attorney JFM. Our promise today, we'll unpack a Supreme Court decision that changed how rape is legally defined, reveal why language matters so much in justice, and share concrete steps to protect the most vulnerable, the women and children.
That is right, Hannah. Our listeners can expect us to break down the facts, clarify the legal arguments, translate the jargon, and most importantly, explain what this means for every Filipino family. Ready to dive in?
There's something about Maya's story that sticks with you. She was just 10 and her home should have been her fortress. Instead, and the saddest and worst part, is that the person she trusted most betrayed her in the worst possible way.
This wasn't just a tragedy of one family. The entire legal system was put to the test. The case against Danilo, Maya's mother's partner, was more than a criminal charge. It was a challenge to how we define and confront abuse.
And what's devastating is seeing how the defense tried to downplay the crime, debating whether there was enough penetration. It's as if the trauma can be measured in millimeters.
What's even more unsettling, this isn't just legal nitpicking. The debate over definitions can mean the difference between justice and a predator walking free. The stakes couldn't be higher.
That point about definitions really hits home. The defense argued Danilo didn't fully penetrate, so somehow it wasn't real rape. That argument feels so detached from the reality of Maya's pain. As a woman myself, I absolutely feel her pain, especially at her young age.
It's painful, but the court had to wrestle with it. The Besmonte case of 2014 said minimum contact was enough, but Danilo's appeal claimed the law was too vague. He argued his rights were at stake if the standard wasn't crystal clear.
I get the need for legal clarity, but it's infuriating to think a technicality could erase a child's ordeal. Why do we demand such precise descriptions from traumatized victims?
I understand you there, Hannah, but as you know, because, as hard as it is, an unclear law can collapse and let the guilty escape. The Supreme Court realized honest justice required them to confront the ugly facts head-on, no more hiding behind medical euphemisms.
All right, attorney, let's strip away the legal jargon for everyone listening. When the court talks about carnal knowledge and vulval cleft, what does that really mean in simple terms?
Okay, Hannah. In plain terms, saying someone touched the external area, the labia or vulval cleft, means that the contact happened only on the outside folds or the very entrance of the female private part. The act did not involve going inside or full internal penetration, and it simply means this: rape isn't limited to full internal penetration. The Supreme Court ruled that any contact between the male organ and the external part, the vulval cleft, counts as consummated rape. That's the new threshold. This is a landmark ruling by the Supreme Court.
So, essentially, victims no longer have to medically prove full penetration. Even minimal contact is enough for the law to recognize the crime.
Exactly. And that change is crucial. It removes a major loophole and reduces the burden on victims, especially children, who shouldn't have to endure invasive questioning to prove their trauma.
Let's walk through what happened to Danilo under this clarified rule. The Supreme Court said his actions met the standard for rape, no question there. But the ages were a factor in the outcome, right?
Right. Since Maya was 10 during one of the assaults, that counted as statutory rape. But when she was 13, the law at the time only allowed a conviction for simple rape. The court had to follow these specifics, as the law demands.
That's tough for advocates, seeing a charge reduced. But I get that even in horrific cases, a fair system means sticking to the law's letter. The real victory here is how the court closed loopholes for future cases. And I'm glad our court already made this kind of decision.
Yes, and that's a lasting legacy. The message is clear. The justice system is evolving to be more protective and less tolerant of any violation, however small it might seem.
This has been a heavy but empowering discussion. Here's what we want you to remember. First, contact with the vulval cleft now counts as consummated rape. Second, using clear language in court protects victims better. Third, abusers have fewer loopholes to exploit.
And if you or anyone you know is fighting for justice, don't let legal jargon or process intimidate you. The next best step is always to consult a dedicated lawyer who can advocate for your rights and help you navigate the system.
We'd love to hear your experiences too. Sharing your journey or struggles with justice can be healing for others. So reach out and let's keep the conversation going.
Thank you for joining us today. Stay informed, stay safe, and never be afraid to demand honest justice. If this session helped you today, please like, share, and subscribe to help us make the law accessible to everyone. Please note, this content is for general informational purposes and does not constitute legal advice or create an attorney-client relationship. Always consult a professional lawyer for your specific legal concerns. Until next time, this is Attorney JFM. With me is Hannah, wishing you strength and wisdom on your path. See you in our next podcast. Bye.